Can you believe it's 100 years, an entire decade ago, that the Walt Disney Company was founded? On October 16, 1923, Walt Disney changed the world when his visionary mind received the chance to let people see what imagination is able to do. In this video, I want to cherish the 100th anniversary of Disney, and I think the best way to do so is to go through every component that belongs to the company. In April, the official Disney 100 exhibition has had its European premiere in Munich, and the pictures I've taken when I was there in June will guide us through this video. So first of all, there is Oswald, the lucky rabbit. His design might remind you of somebody else, and in fact, he's the predecessor of Mickey Mouse. Walt Disney designed him for Universal, and some time ago Disney reacquired the rights on him. The exhibition featured that original stencil set as well as a cute bunch of sketches. Oswald's adventures have been similar to Mickey's and his character a true favorite. Speaking of favorites, the exhibition has also featured a lot of Mickey Mouse. But what is actually so special about that figure? Well, Mickey represents the working man, the simple folks. He enjoys the daily pleasures and tackles whatever life has in store for him. And that's why he's anything. The conductor of an orchestra, the laid-back traveler, and the funny musician. He even portrays the sorcerer's apprentice in the famous feature film Fantasia. Among all episodes in the film, this is by far my favorite and really honors the German poem it's based on. But who would Mickey be without his friends? There you have Pluto, probably the cutest and funniest dog in history. He cares for the very little things, like food, and he is disturbed quite easily by anything, a bug, an ant, or a crab. The Pluto cartoons are often the funniest, mainly because in the end Pluto is less often the one to be completely fooled. My all-time favorite cartoon characters are Chip and Dale though. These two always have fun. They are super cute and never become boring. Lots of their shorts feature Donald Duck, who eagerly fights against them, or Pluto. I've recently watched Chips Ahoy, and I really recommend you watching some of these cartoons, as they are extremely lovable. The next chapter in that video is centered around Walt Disney himself. This quote here highlights his philosophy. Once you're able to make dreams come true, there is not much you can't cope with. The core aspects Disney mentions are curiosity, courage, bravery, and constancy. In my opinion, his belief in these traits is exactly what made him so successful. He never feared doing investments, trying new stories, or failing at the box office. He touched every possibility, brought characters to life, and when people laughed at him, he became stronger. Otherwise, he wouldn't have opened his very own Disneyland in 1955. I know a biographical drama where his brother was shown being amused about Walt's idea of an entertainment park. But since the realization of that vision, there are several parks, 2 of them in the US, 1 in Europe, 1 in Japan, and 1 or 2 more on the Asian continent. I've never been to Disneyland before, and I really want to go there, but if it's just close to what it looks on pictures, it's heaven on earth. I love the idea of the train driving you around the entire park so that you get an imagination of what expects you inside. And I adore the love that has been put into every detail here. During the exhibition, I've spotted this original coupon book as well as an employee badge. Another exciting component of the Disney Company that is unfortunately more and more fading is the Disney Store. Every year I enjoy shopping on the Shop Disney website, especially around Christmas. But what I really appreciated was the Disney Store located in Munich from 2017 until mid-2020. There was such a huge selection of toys and merch, such as beautifully designed plush animals, the best Disney dolls on earth, backpacks, shirts and decoration. I am personally much interested into politics and societal issues. Even though Walt Disney used to be a brilliant creative mind, he's been openly populist and racist. So what attracted my attention in the exhibition was a part centered around Disney's journey to South America. The info board said he was eagerly welcomed by the local people and dressed up in costumes that were suitable to their clothing, which the locals enjoyed. Disney himself was impressed by the cultures there, and it seems there was a side of him that was not offending people who are different in any way. When he died in 1966, it's been said there was a huge gap in the company. Walt Disney himself was much of the creativity, imagination, and innovation that made the studio strong. He took every project seriously, as if he was all director, writer, and producer, even though he also had the task of guiding the company. This is something that also reminds me of John Lasseter, who later became the chief creative officer of both Disney and Pixar Animation. When he left, there was a gap too, because he cared as much about the projects as Walt did. Anyways, I've often mentioned innovation as being a central element of Disney. In fact, it includes the first fully hand-drawn animated feature film, Snow White. Out of all traditional Disney films, this is not only one of the best, but by far my favorite. When I was a kid, I could watch it in a row, and I still love it today. The plot is well executed from the fairy tale, the naive character of Snow White is lovable, and the seven dwarfs are a group of fun figures everyone loves. It's a shame they are replaced in the live-action remake coming next year. A dwarf, as I know it, is not what we call dwarfism, but it's a fictional creature. Typically old little men with pointed caps and shoes. You can't replace those. Another classic to talk about is Pinocchio. The film initially failed at the box office because of World War II, but later on it became a symbol for the company, especially because of the song When You Wish Upon a Star, that is still featured in the intro of every film. The 2022 live-action remake has been criticized a lot because it's so similar to the original, but in fact I love the tiny details that were changed. Pinocchio doesn't enjoy how the other kids behave on that fun island, and he's more eager to return to school when the fox distracts him, for example. But I do like the original film a lot too. Cinderella is another classic that has grown on me. It perfectly combines the original fairy tale with some cartoon features such as Lucifer, Cinderella's stepmother's cat. He steals the show a lot. Cinderella herself is an example of a dreaming girl, slightly naive, but also very passionate and thankful for the tiny gifts she's offered. Peter Pan, on the other hand, is one of the more controversial films, as it includes many racist stereotypes. This takes us back to Walt Disney's political views. The indigenous people in Peter Pan are portrayed as being primitively targeted at hunting, eating, and reproducing themselves. A song even says they used to be white but turned red when a man kissed a girl. Other than that, I didn't like the cartoon aspect of that film, also because it deals with issues like killing each other as if it was the lone fantasy of a child. The remake, though, appealed a lot to me. It's been criticized because of its diverse cast, but it's been well executed because iconic elements from the animated film, like the crocodile, were adopted, while the plot also focused on the original play and added new habits. It's a Disney Plus exclusive, and if you happen to see it, take the time, it's worth it. One more film I've not been favoring a lot is Sleeping Beauty. The three fairies are awfully stupid characters. Aurora not really approachable to me, and the entire setting simply doesn't attract me. However, that old-fashioned storybook from the film has also been exhibited, and every time you turned a page, it became alive on the wall. That's been fascinating. Fascination leads me to another phenomenon, Winnie the Pooh. Haven't we all loved him when we were kids? I used to watch a bunch of DVDs that came in the early 2000s, and I've really enjoyed them. As of now, I still love dreaming about these timeless stories that are loaded with endless fantasy, curiosity, and joy. Tigger has always been my favorite character, as he's the funniest guy of the group. My favorite piece in the exhibition was this replica of Pooh from the live-action Christopher Robin film. The vintage design is so magnificent, and I even own some plush animals from that film. So Disney did a great job on these premium plushies that haven't even been expensive. Who Knows the Aristocats? It's a classic, and one of my favorite animated Disney films too. The characters are quite charming, the music spreads fun, and lots of good memories are connected to it. Well, it might be the reason why cats are among my favorite animals. So do foxes, by the way. Robin Hood is a heartwarming classic I adore a lot, and luckily I scored the Disney 100 Lego figures of Robin and Prince John. Another film that should not be underrated is The Fox and the Hound, as it shows a story of an extraordinary friendship that is consistent even though it's been challenged a lot over the years. We're almost done with the animated classics now, but we can't forget the Renaissance era. The Beauty and the Beast is a quite anticipated film, and these replicas of Lumiere and Cogsworth are originals from the live-action remake. They are highly detailed and unique pieces. That's what you can say about that costume from The Lion King. It might be the most fantastical Disney film of all time, and its legacy includes the Broadway musical where this costume belongs to. I myself regard The Lion King as one of the core pieces from the studio. The plot is a blast, not related to any template like most other Disney films, and absolutely timeless. I also love the original score by German composer Hans Zimmer, while I adore the songs Elton John has composed for that masterpiece. Last but not least, there is The Princess and the Frog, one of the very last traditionally animated films and a nice new interpretation of the source material that is actually just marginally used. It has added some more diversity to the bunch of Disney princesses and will receive its own Disney Plus show somewhere over the next years. The idea to return to these traditional films came from John Lasseter. He showed lots of appreciation for the Disney legacy, and similar to good old Walt, he had that sense for innovation, curiosity, and consistency. The exhibition didn't simply take us through every film released by Disney, but was rather sorted by themes like arts, music, concepts, and also techniques. You surely question why that leather wallet was exhibited. Well, it was used to make the sound for the dwarf's squeaky shoes in Snow White. There were many other objects with similar purposes, but this one specifically has drawn my attention. Moreover, there is the scenery that represents technical skills. There is a lot of depth created between the trail and the barn on that picture, because different layers have been used. It's a simple thing, but one of the smart ones. That section showed many of the tools Disney has used over the years, also including the famous Technicolor. In fact, most of the films succeeded each other technically, even if it's just a watercolored scenery that has been modernized. To infinity and beyond. I guess this is the most noticeable quote from Toy Story, maybe even any Pixar film, and a metaphor for Pixar. The first feature-length computer-animated film, released in 1995, is a milestone in history. Toy Story has since become Pixar's most popular franchise, and the films are highly praised by critics and audiences alike. The first two films belong to my most favorite ones and will always hold a special place in my heart. There was a desk where you could explore some characters, and I chose to dive deeper into the making of Woody, who's not only an iconic but also a heartwarming character. The Pixar Animation Studios have stolen the show for years, with many of their films winning the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature. These include Finding Nemo, The Incredibles, Ratatouille, and many more. Some of my favorites are Coco, The Incredibles, Monsters Inc., and some of the newer ones, just like Luca and Elemental. You know I love cars, so I don't need to mention it, but what I should highlight is that mold of Lightning McQueen that was featured along with Elsa and Anna from Frozen, for example. It leads me to the finest destination of my dreams, Cars Land. This theme park in the Disney California Adventure is one of the main reasons that will make me visit the USA. Of course, it was cherished in the exhibition too. There was quite some reflection in many of the rooms, but I believe you can still spot all of the beauty on that painting. It features the legendary Big Thunder Mountain, but also the iconic Haunted Mansion. While I haven't liked the original 2003 film at all, I am a fan of the remake that came this year. It's a medium film, more of a 2.8 to 3 out of 5 stars, but it was well done. This is Jungle Cruise, another park attraction that received a film. Your eyes don't lie, here you can see Frank Wolf's clothing as worn by Dwayne Johnson in the Jungle Cruise film. The ride must be awesome, but the film was great too. Emily Blunt and The Rock were a fun duo for sure. What is probably the most legendary attraction and most outstanding franchise centered around pirates though is Pirates of the Caribbean. There you have Captain Jack Sparrow's compass. Johnny Depp's performance of Sparrow is incomparable, and even though Disney believes he could reboot the series without him, he's the core. I'd say we could stay at the sea for a moment to show some appreciation to Moana. The film was a box office success, but ever since Disney Plus was launched, it has managed to be one of the top films there constantly. It's unbelievable and way too early. The live-action adaptation is about to come in 2 years, but what I do welcome is the planned Moana Disney Plus series that is scheduled for 2024. However, I was a little disappointed with some of the characters and the plot in the film. An absolute blast, though, is Disney's Frozen. Both films are of high quality, feature amazingly powerful songs, and definitely some of my favorite films from the studio. I've seen both in cinema, and I'm already eager to see how well done the planned third film will be. While Let It Go will always be the most iconic song from the films, I really adored many from the second film, such as Show Yourself. Last but not least, here we have Encanto. This film is once more a great example of what Disney is able to do. It had lots of fun and diverse characters, each being as charming as ever, beautiful animation, and a bunch of fantastic songs that went viral on the internet after the film hit Disney Plus, where it still belongs to the top 10 films. It's time to show some love to Lucasfilm, that also belongs to the many Disney properties. It took me some time to remember what this book is, but it's one of the ancient Jedi books. This original replica is breathtaking, with all the details and the work that was put into creating this to make it look as old and real as possible. One of the reasons why I like Star Wars is the political aspect. George Lucas took lots of inspiration from the Third Reich and the ancient Rome Republic, and in fact it never becomes boring. Star Wars shows how different regimes, empires and republics have been started, how they failed and how new elites tried to establish a stable system, but over the years and the many installments in the franchise we are taken to diverse places, experience different views, beliefs and intentions that make us realize there's more than just a bunch of planets and some people who want to rule it. My favorite Lucasfilm franchise is Indiana Jones though. There's so much historical context in these films, some exciting storytelling and of course loads of action and fun. Unfortunately, the fifth film released this past summer totally failed at the box office, even though it was one of the best in the series for sure. Harrison Ford is a legend and the one and only Indy. I think you all know what this is. I'm not much into Marvel, but it would be wrong to leave out that wing of the Disney empire. Stories about superheroes emerged during the biggest crisis in the 20th century and are an important symbol that reminds us of the many things that don't work on our planet. I've personally adored the last Spider-Man films, and I've also watched some independent Marvel installments such as Moon Knight, which was quite cool, and Werewolf by Night, a magnificent piece of charming Halloween horror. I know this video took you a huge breath, but if you managed to come to this point, you've had some wonderful insights into a century in the making. 100 years take more than just a short video, and even though I've covered lots of my footage from the exhibition and many of my most favorite films and characters, not all were mentioned. Make sure you tell me in the comments about anything related to Disney 100. Consumer products, your park experience, your favorite films, and of course, if the exhibition appeals to you. It closed in early September and continues somewhere in the US. I've enjoyed being a part of that event, and I still believe into the classic Disney formula. I admit some decisions head into the wrong direction and not everything is fine about what Disney is doing. Walt Disney was a visionary, a luminary in filmmaking. What he stands for is curiosity, courage, bravery, and constancy. Curiosity to explore new things, courage to believe in what you're doing, bravery to create new stories and adventures, to go new paths, and constancy, which means to be loyal to your personal values, to never stop dreaming. When he died, it took the company some time to regain their courage, and new people emerged to be guiding stars. Over the last years, former CEO Bob Chapek and former as well as current CEO Bob Iger have lost huge bits of that spirit. They keep focusing on what truly makes money: remakes, sequels, spin-offs. Over the time, Iger will see that the original stories, mostly delivered by Disney and Pixar Animation, are what the world needs today. This doesn't mean that the many Star Wars shows would be cheap or that a live-action adaptation is wrong. In contrast, the former helps establish new fan-favorite characters or manifest those who are popular already. The latter show that there are stories that never fade and that will always be timeless. It's just the amount of remakes and the bad timing that I offend. Give us Snow White almost 90 years after the original. There's a huge gap. But don't do Moana already. Wait for the film to be older. Forget about the Aristocats. These are cats, and when they are animated, they have some articulation, some gestures, and some character. But if they are real, they look like taken from a documentary. Anyways, thank you very much for watching, and remember that this whole thing was started with a dream and a mouse. Disney has always been a giant, full of surprises and creativity, and I doubt this will ever change. To Disney 100 and beyond.